Gerard Pique has given an interview today on multiple platforms where he talks about his time at Manchester United, Barcelona, academy graduates, and he also discusses Erik ten Hag's future. We're going to dive into what's been said, but before we do that, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and say hello in the comments section, and let's dive into this. So let's kick things off then with his early career. We speak about Sir Alex Ferguson and his time at Manchester United. He said, "The moment I asked to leave, I told him," meaning Sir Alex Ferguson, "that he should let me go because it was my dream to join Barcelona. He told me he wouldn't ask for a lot of money, £5 million, I think, so he did me a big favour." And on the statement, he got asked about Fergie saying that, it was one of his biggest regrets letting Piqué go. And he said, "On the one hand, it's good to hear that. I can say he was like a second father to me. I was only 17 when I arrived and he helped me a lot." Now, I remember seeing in an interview as well, I don't know if it was recently or a couple of years back, about the time that when he was there, obviously Rio and Vidic were the main centre-backs in that kind of partnership, and you couldn't really get a look in because obviously how successful he was and the fact that he could never really get an opportunity, so he decided to leave. But then when he did leave, that's when Vidic in particular started picking up injuries and space started opening where he could have made it, push through into the senior squad. I remember the game against, I think it was against Bolton, when he got a proper chance against Nicolas Anelka and he absolutely fucked it up. He made a massive error. I can't remember if it was something that he went to go head the ball and completely missed it, and they went through in goal and ended up scoring. And it was one of them where you look back and you're like, that's your chance, mate. Like, that's where you needed to grab it. So, look, it's a shame it didn't work out at Manchester United. Who knows? He could have turned out to be a fantastic centre-back for the club. But obviously then went on to Barcelona where he dreamed of playing and did what he did. And if you look at his trophy cabinet, he's won a World Cup, he's won a Euros, he's won 4 Champions Leagues, 3 FIFA Club World Cups, a Premier League and a League Cup technically with Man United, even though he didn't majorly contribute, 9 Spanish League championships, 3 Super Cups, 7 Spanish Cups, and 6 Spanish Super Cups. So, look, people say, leaving United is absolute madness, but what he did for Barcelona was crazy. And I think he played around 616 times, I think he played for the club in a very, very successful team where they was at the pinnacle of football. So you're never ever going to look back at it as a kind of regret, but I think he did mention the fact that he would have liked to have stayed in the Premier League a little bit longer, maybe, kind of earn his stripes there for 2 or 3 years, try pushing to the first team and then move to Barca. But who knows, if he didn't move at that time, maybe he never would have got that move. He might not have been in the Spain squad to win the World Cup and the Euros. Like these, everything happens for a reason, I believe. So, yeah, he still had a majorly successful career and he's one of the most accomplished centre-backs on the planet. Now, what was interesting, he spoke about our current academy graduates, said they need to trust the youngsters in the academy more. We saw Sir Alex Ferguson with the 92 generation. They spent a lot of money and it didn't work. So why not give a chance for the new generation? And he makes a great point because we have a lot of talented youngsters at the club. We have 2 in particular right now who are setting the benchmark in Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo. If you look at the under-18s, I don't know if they've lost one yet, but last time I checked, they hadn't lost in the league. You've got top talents like Harry Amas, Shea Lacer, Bendito, Montanto, and many, many more that are coming through. But the thing is, with youngsters, you have to create the right environment for these kind of players to come into. Like, you don't want them in a team that's kind of flippant like we are this season, a team that's inconsistent. I know Garnacho and Mainoo have kind of stood above that and almost become our best players, but it's very rare when you find that in a young kid, especially someone like Kobbie Mainoo. That's why they tend to call him generational talents. And I know that word gets kind of flung around a lot, but when he's doing what he's doing at the stadium he's been to, when he's only 15 games into a season and then getting called up to England, that is generational in my opinion. So yeah, like I said, create the right culture, make sure that he had the right, water the plants correctly, I suppose is what I'm saying. I remember Gary Neville talking about this, saying that, when he came up with Beckham and Butt and Giggs and all these kind of guys, if he didn't come into a team that had Cantona and Peter Schmeichel and Dennis Irwin and all these kind of like key figures, then he wouldn't have been nowhere near as successful. So you want him to come into the right environment with senior leaders around there who have won things that elevates them then to the next level. But I do think we should start to trust the academy a little bit more because I have very, very talented players in there. He then moves on to talk about Erik ten Hag as well. He says, "I still believe that ten Hag is a very good manager. I don't know if he'll be able to turn things around, but the victory against Liverpool was incredible. It's the kind of victory that will give them confidence, energy for the rest of the season." Now, people always say, just as like a general rule of thumb, trust your gut. And my gut instinct with ten Hag at the moment is he can be successful under the right structure. And I think this is what Pique is leaning towards as well. He's seen something, seen certain qualities, seen what he's done in game. And he's a smart player. He's a smart guy first and foremost, and he's a smart player who knows what he's talking about, and also worked under one of the best coaches ever in Pep Guardiola. I think as a fan base, as a manager, as a set of players, they'll reflect on that Liverpool game as a major turning point in his career as a manager at least, because if he would have lost that game at Old Trafford and we would have been knocked out of the last competition that we're in against our biggest rivals, I struggle to find a way where he would have kind of recovered from that. Especially if it would have been a bad defeat. So, look, if he manages to win the FA Cup, which we have a very good chance at because we've got Coventry in the semi-finals, depending on who we get in the final. If it's City again, we may struggle a little bit. But if he manages to win the FA Cup, manages to get Champions League football again, get us back in there, especially for like revenue and just everything that the Champions League brings with it in terms of playing in Europe, and get a chance to show what he can actually do with proper people above him, I think that's the route of success for me, because I don't see any outstanding managers at the moment. The thing is with this team is it's hard to trust them, because there's so many times when they put in really good performances. Like, for example, at the end of last year when we beat Villa, we brought it back 2-0 down, 3-2 up. Rasmus scores his first goal, complete jubilation. The fans are losing it. And then at the end of the year, we get beat by Nottingham Forest, who with all due respect, I think they'd won like 3 in 10 or something along the lines of that. So consistency has been a real issue. And again, that is the manager's job to get that out of the players. I just think, again, we talk about environment. He needs the right environment and structure and leadership above him who can take care of the things that are exterior, and he can focus purely on coaching and football and getting results. The club comparison was interesting between Barcelona and Manchester United. Pique said the difference with Barcelona is that the transitional period at United has been going on for a long time. They got lost a little after Sir Alex Ferguson left. Little by little, they're trying to put everything back together in order to compete for titles. And it made me think a little bit, because if you look at some of the big clubs in Europe right now who had been dominant for so long, you talk about your Barcelonas. I know they won a league title under Xavi, but they're not where they was. You look at Pep's team, they're no way near that. They're struggling financially a lot. The things that are going on behind the scenes, the things that are going on with the stadium. You talk about Bayern Munich as well, looking like they're not going to win the first league title in about 12 years or whatever it's been. Look at Juventus. Juventus completely fell off again. Financial breaches, accusations going on, board members leaving, dropping right down the table. I know they've had a bit of a rejuvenation, excuse the pun, recently, but again, they're not near when they had like the Nedveds and the Del Pieros and Trezeguets and all these, and the Chiellinis and Bonucci's, like they're way off from that. And there's a lot of big clubs, and this is kind of like a cycle in club football. It happens sometimes, especially if it's not managed properly off the pitch. And it's like I said, with Manchester United, you can throw them in that category as well. Ralph Rangnick saying that this is open heart surgery. That is one of the quotes that will stick for a long, long time, because it was absolutely spot on. In order to turn things around at Manchester United and kind of abolish the last 10 years that have been atrocious on and off the pitch, it's about rebuilding it piece by piece. And I think Ineos are going to do that. I think Gerard Pique makes a great point about that. And I also have hope for the future looking forward. So I'm interested to see how it develops over the summer, and what kind of players we go for, and what kind of players move on, and how serious we'll actually be about it, because I think it's about time now. We've been sat on mediocre players, games, tactics, whatever you want to call it, for the past 10 years. And I think, I'm looking forward to the future for this club. So if you enjoyed this video, please do make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and check us out on socials, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We're absolutely everywhere. Real Reds Talk. Hit us up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.